I'm ready to slash and burn.
No quarter. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And as you can see, I have Jordan Neal here, and I haven't had Jordan on the show for a little while. I did back when we were talking about DragonSlayer, but this time we're here to talk about Squire. So
Yeah.
Hey,
I like that one better.
I loved DragonSlayer. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
But yeah, so excited to have you back on.
It's good to be here. I haven't done one of these in a long time. You know, I love doing these podcasts. I love talking to people. You know, I ran into the guys from Jevin Woodrow. I ran into him at NHRL, and it was good to see him again. I think it was my very first BattleBots related interview with him. So it was nice to run into those people that you've kind of, met really early on, pretty much before I got started with combat robotics at all. You know, so he was kind of one of the very first people I met in the community, and that was really cool.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I was excited because, I watched the June NHRL event, as I watch every event, and I was like, oh, hey, Jordan's there, and he's got a robot, and that was.
And I'm
really
in a goofy costume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The costume is just perfection.
Yeah.
So, tell me, well, for fans, that don't know much about Squire, let's hear about that robot.
Yeah, absolutely. So Squire is, for all intents and purposes, it's kind of a half-scale version of what our prospective second edition heavyweight of DragonSlayer is going to be like. Constructed maybe a little bit differently than we would do a heavyweight. You know, it's a billet. Kind of hard to do a billet of, a robot that would be DragonSlayer's size. But for this 30-pounder, it's a lot easier to do, Squire's been around since July of 2022. That's when we finished it, and we got to go to Robotica. Took first place. Not a whole lot of competition. We only got 3 fights. It was pretty easy, but we were still kind of getting our feet wet, still kind of figuring out the bot, getting all the problems worked out and everything. So we had a lot of time to prepare before our first NHRL in January, which went fantastically. 4 amazing, super cool fights. We came real close to setting a record. We got the second fastest knockout in NHRL's 30-pound history. 7 seconds. 1 second off the record. I think that was pretty dang cool. We got all the way to the finals. We did end up losing to Eva. Fantastic bot, captained by Jeremy de Guzman. Super, super cool guy, super cool team. Awesome bot. And so, yeah, like that was back in January. Now, fast forward to June, 5 months later. The quick rundown is the exact same thing happened. We got to the finals, and then we lost again. So if you want the quick version, that's how it goes. But I think we've got some time to talk about each fight in a little bit of detail, at least. So we can start there.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, it was a great event. I was certainly pulling for you. But yeah, whatever you want to share on any of those fights, I'd kind of love to hear that perspective, because it's my memory is a little bit fuzzy because I was also judging part of that event. So I may not have been paying as close attention as I normally do, but I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts.
Oh yeah, anytime you go to an event, whether you're competing or just watching, the spirit of robot combat takes over, and you don't remember anything, even like immediately after it happens. So I got to kind of watch the videos over and over again to kind of see what was really going on. But it was great as always. I really love going NHRL. I've only been twice, but both times it's been absolutely fantastic. It's a top-notch event. It's put on with a degree of care and quality like an NFL game. It's really amazing. So I think this is NHRL's first 2-day event. I think that's right. If that's not right, of the year, yeah, they haven't done one in a while. and that was a little new to me because I'm used to going to the January one. That was just a 1 day deal. This one was going to be 2 days, and I think that I prefer that. There's a little bit of good and bad there. Mostly it's just more time away from work, more time on the road. We drove this time from Texas all the way to Connecticut straight through. That was a 29-hour drive, taking shifts back and forth between me, Logan Davis, and Brady Davis, his dad from Team Sub Zero. So I went with them, and fortunately didn't get to go with any of my guys on my team. Josh Massio, Justin Kaiser, and Dylan Halsey. Those guys are like my family. I've loved those guys. I really would have wanted them to be there, but they couldn't this time. But they will be there with me at the finals, um, which we qualified for in November, and we would have qualified again. Since we did pretty badass this time in June as well. But yeah, great event. To start things off, it was a lot hotter this time than in January, and I had that goofy costume on, uh, which is it's 19 pounds of real chainmail, by the way. It's not made of steel; it's made of aluminum, but it's still very very heavy. And it is for people who ask, because a lot of people had questions about it. It does go all it's the full length of my arms, and it's like a full dress that goes down to my knees basically. And then over that I have a long sleeve shirt, and then like the tunic thing, and the big yellow cape, and the sash, and the belt. It's a lot, right? And it was pretty hot up there in Connecticut. You think, oh, you go up north, it's going to be like 20 degrees cooler than Texas no matter what. It was not. It was still very very hot up there, especially in a place that's like you've got like batteries charging everywhere all day. There's a lot of like people there, and all that heat just kind of keeps going around. And I found myself standing in front of the big box fan that they had very often, just with my shirt up like this, trying to cool myself off. So yeah, pretty crazy. But event started off great as usual. Got through safety kind of last minute. I'm used to that. I'm a big procrastinator when it comes to anything robot related. Um, but first match was against Wicked Wedge XL and Ethan Shipley. And I believe Angel Vidal was driving. Ethan Shipley was driving the minibot actually. And I was trying a new weapon. We had a new weapon on Squire. It's a symmetrical one that we've nicknamed the Torture Wheel. Um, no, it doesn't have the kind of the fun theming that the horse head disc has that I've used in the past, but I wanted to try a symmetrical one just to kind of see how it would go. Uh, I spun it pretty fast, as I always do. The idea was to, shred stuff up rather than get big hits, because if you remember last time, it was a great big hit that destroyed us. And I'll talk about how I kind of prevented that from happening later. But anyway, yeah, we ran the new weapon in this first fight, and it did really well. The first hit, we kind of were stuck in our corner when Wicked Wedge got us pinned up against there, and then we just started chewing, and then bam, there's a huge gash like this long, right in the front of the wedge, and it just flips right over. And the rest of the match kind of it kind of one-sided. It kind of went our way, and I don't know why, but Wicked Wedge just sat there dead, and the ref did not count it out for like a minute, I think. Uh, and I don't know why, but I'm looking across the glass because I can see Ethan over there, and I'm like, "Do you want me to keep going? Yes, no?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, keep hitting it." I was like, "You can tap out," and he's like, "No, no, keep hitting it." I'm like, "All right, there we go." And it was quite a mess at the end. There were feathers everywhere. There were googly eyes in there. It's NHRL. That's par for the course. You know how it goes. So yeah, that was a great first match. Um, Really great because it kind of continues uh, I don't know, a blessing you would call it. I've never lost my first match at any tournament ever. BattleBots, both NHRLs, aimbots. So hopefully I can keep it up. I probably just jinxed it super hard. I'm gonna lose real bad at the finals. Um, but anyway, yeah, great first match. I have a little trophy that I can share here. This is some 3D printed side armor from Wicked Wedge. Ethan was very kind to sign it for me after I'd ripped it off. And a little like wedge ear cover thingy. Don't really know what to call it, but that was super cool. I really enjoyed getting those trophies because I don't think I got any from January, and in June I got a whole bunch of them. Uh, and then next match. What was the next match? Kablooey Tango. So that was a rematch for me. We fought against them in the semifinals in January, and it was kind of a weird fight. At the one in January, we got one hit on them, and then our belt came off so the weapon died pretty much right away. And theirs was having a little trouble getting spun up. I think it might have got up to like half speed at most, but for the most part, we were just pushing each other around real hard. We did manage to flip them over at the very beginning of the match, so I think their mobility was a little impaired. But it was, that was a close judge's decision for us. But this time, it was kind of a whole different story. They had a mini bot with them. Their weapon was working real great. They had this new fork setup, which pretty atypical for a horizontal spinner, but it seems to be kind of creeping into the meta now. I've seen a couple of bots that kind of look like this. You might have seen like Rotator. They've got the undercutter and they've got the forks on the back. These forks are right on the side and in the front of the bot. So I was like, damn, I don't think I want to use the same chassis that I used against them last time, because if they get under it, they could rip it apart. So I used the more like general purpose chassis without the wedge. And I was like, well, let's see how this goes. Let's just put the real big weapon on it and see what happens. And we had a couple of these mutual exchanges at the beginning of fight, these these kind of things. And I think eventually they caught the side of us, right around the side where Squire's front armor ends, and then right before where the wheel begins, there's an open space right there of aluminum. That's just the body, right? They caught that, and it made this big cutout in it, this big like you scooped ice cream is what it looks like. And there was a little piece hanging down, and it went just past like our wheel. So it was basically propped up off the ground, so I had one wheel drive that whole time after that point. So I was limping from the start almost. And then their mini bot got under me, and I swear I went back and counted the time. We were under that mini bot, stuck for about 55 seconds, I think, because it got under and it could not get back off. It could not get back off. So I was getting a little frustrated trying to figure out what to do, because I didn't really know what was going on, until I got to inspect the damage after the fight. But the house bot was pushing us around, kind of rammed us into the wall where the weapon was going. Wood splinters went everywhere. Just like a wood chipper going off in there, which of course made its way back into Squire. So had a lot of dusting to do after the match. But then we got shoved into the corner, and from there I'm wrestling with my remote, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Have I lost drive? Is my remote messed up? My weapon's still going, but do I really want to turn it on and ram into the wall again? So I was like, this is a prelim. I already won my first one. I hit that button. I did not want that match to go on any longer than it had to. I wasn't trying to prove nothing. I didn't need another win. And I wanted to know how badly messed up my robot was, because, I really don't want to lose that general purpose chassis. I can lose the one with the wedge. That's fine. But if I'm going to fight anything else but a horizontal, I need that other chassis. So I had to play it safe, and the match there, 1-1 for the first day. Not bad. It's whatever. I was happy with the first fight. Second fight, I learned a little. I learned to not drive directly into their weapon. Maybe try to be a little more tactical next time. But
I'm curious though, like with that, because since you had fought Kablooey Tango before, did you feel like it was any different? Because this time it was Alex Crease and Jonathan Schultz, handling that piece of it versus Lucy, who normally would be driving it.
Yeah, well, see, we couldn't really learn a whole lot from our first match against them because neither bot, excuse me, neither ours nor theirs were really working the way that they were supposed to. So I knew that this fight was probably going to be a whole different ball game. I could have expected them to, really turn it up to 100 and probably get that weapon going, and it would be real dangerous. And I'd have to be a little more careful. Plus, there was the whole wedgelet situation that they have now. So anything that I learned from the first match, I kind of had to throw it out the window. And of course, like you said, a whole new set of drivers. They're going to drive differently. Could drive better, could drive worse. I don't know. I've never had a fight against uh, Jonathan before. I believe he was driving, and then Alex was operating the weapon. So it was a whole new thing. Plus, they had a mini bot, so there was so much to mentally prepare for that I wasn't ready for at the time. But I want to go ahead and show this off. This is not from that fight. I'll talk a little bit about the other fight later, but this is that wedgelet that I've been talking about right here. You can see where we hit it there. Little gash right there. Really cool piece. I love this one so much. So yeah, that was the end of day one. After that, took the costume off because I was dying. I was sweating. You can see in the first fight, I actually put the helmet on. Then for the fight against Kablooey, I took it off because I couldn't stand it anymore. And this is funny. So when I went to take my costume off, I went to do so in the restroom, and someone it was like a kid and his dad that like were right behind me walking into the restroom, and I swear to God, the kid went to his dad and he said, "Dad, I think that's the guy from choir or whatever." And I'm like, damn it, man, say it right.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
No, it was funny, but it hurt me a little. It was like, oh God, I was like, I felt like I was stuck in like a comedy movie and I was the butt of a joke or something. But anyway, yeah, took 10 minutes, shake the chainmail off because it's very hard to pull off. Went back out, and I think after that, a whole bunch of the builders went back to the hotel lobby. I did a little bit of drinking. I don't know if anybody else did, but had to, had to shake off the nerves, as you do. Um, got some well-needed rest because the car ride. Oh my God, freaking wore us the hell out. So next day, I don't remember when I found out who I was fighting at the beginning of the day. I don't remember if they do it like BattleBots or I think you find out pretty early in the morning. But anyway, the first match was against Catalyst. So that was Catalyst. Yeah, I think so. Catalyst or the other. I'm trying to remember what his other bot is called
His
because
other bot is Synthesis.
Synthesis. Yes, Synthesis is the other one. So Catalyst is the 30. I believe so. And that was the match out of all the ones I had all weekend, all event that I sweated the most. I was like, this thing could really rip me apart, right? I did not want to fight that, especially not for my first match, right? Um, and that match actually got delayed, and I had a bunch of time to kind of uh, sit and talk with Synthesis captain for a little while about our bots. We put them next to each other, took a bunch of pictures of them and stuff. We were just hanging out for a while because I believe there was a fire right before that fight. It was Darth Bot, I think is what it's called. If you watch a stream, you might remember it. It just absolutely it basically almost exploded and was on fire for a while. So plenty of time to hang out. Let the nerves build up before that match. And anyway, we go downstairs, get ready for our fight, and it did not go at all the way I expected it to. I wouldn't be surprised if you missed it entirely because they didn't show a replay. The match was super, super short, and it was basically one hit, right? Catalyst comes out of the box. I come out of the box. We collide, right? And I couldn't really tell what had happened until after the match, but we collided, and then Catalyst kind of falls over on its head. Squire stays upright, and both of our weapons are down. I can't spin up. He can't spin up. Don't really know what's going on. So and the floor at this point is super slippery. I think this is my first match in Cage 4. It was a lot slippier than Cage 1. and I was struggling to kind of move around, but eventually I kind of pushed him into a wall, and he quit moving. And so I was like, well, you know, I don't want to hit him again because I don't want to turn him back over. I'm ready to win right now, you know? And he hit that tap out button, and I was like, oh, thank you. Yes. Yes, I had to get past this one fight. This is great. Um, and after the match, we walked back upstairs and we put our bots together on the table. And what had happened was we did this sort of I called it a weapon handshake. My disc hit his pulley. His disc hit my pulley. Both of our belts came right off. This is Catalyst's belt right here, and that's where I hit it. And I hit, yeah, he hit mine in the exact same spot. So we lost our weapons immediately because of that hit. And I almost couldn't believe it at first because his weapon is huge compared to mine, right? But I mean, it was really a one in a million shot. Something like that would have never happened again. A quarter inch to the left or the right, there would have been a big impact, right? And one of us would have probably gotten seriously damaged from that. But minimal damage after the fight, easy enough to repair. So I was, very, very thankful for that. Uh, Next match was against Red Storm. Red Storm is kind of like a 30-pound Claw Viper, right? It's Kevin Milchewski's bot. It's super fast, just like Claw Viper is. And so this is kind of like a Claw Viper versus DragonSlayer kind of matchup. And for this match, I put on I got the full fork setup going again. We got to use some wedgelets this time that I didn't get to use back in January, and I I was not expecting uh, to because this is the first match where I put on a new set of gearboxes because I knew I had to match his speed. Up until this point, I had been running 20 to 1 gearboxes. These are 16 to 1s, so in theory, about 25% faster, right? I smoked my tires during that match, right? When we were done, uh, the tires they looked like it was a whole new texture on them. They had really gotten chewed up. They were like an eighth inch in diameter smaller than like the unused tires. It was unreal. If you go back and watch that fight, when we're pushing each other, yeah, I mean it's just there's like black smoke and skid marks like coming out of the tires. It was crazy. I didn't expect something like that to happen before because that was the first time I had seen that. That was our first real big, huge pushing match with that kind of speed. But I was real happy with how the gearboxes did and everything. I was real happy with our pushing power and how much speed we could match Red Storm and everything. Um, but that was it. It was a real close match because I lost my weapon fairly early. I only got like 2 hits in, and even then they were kind of small. And I even lost one of my forks as well. Um, but at the end of the match, I was practically almost done on drive battery power reserve. They asked me to do a little. The ref asked me to do a movement test, and I gave it the full gas, but it was going about half speed. So it's a good thing that match ended when it did. And I think what had happened, the reason the weapon went down was because my belt split like long ways or something. It was mangled after the fight, but it was just hanging on. So they might have relayed to the judges that I had, a little bit at least of active weapon, and I think that's how I squeaked by with that win because it was a real close match. I think if it wasn't for that big pin at the end, that I could have lost. I don't know. A lot run to my mind at the time, but take a breather here. So on to the semifinals. Agent P was the bot's name, the little Perry the Platypus bot, which was very cute. I liked that one a lot. For this match, this is when they really kind of start to, the NHRL staff starts to get on you about how much time you have left. I think I only had 30 minutes to prepare. And I want to give a shout out to Brian Bray, who was also there. He did not ride with us there, but he was part of the Texas group that we had all put together it was myself, Logan, Brady, him, and Jonathan Juarez from War Easy, and he was there with his bot Warhard. Um, I mean, he had his hands in the bot as much as I did. He was super helpful. He carried the bot around for me because I was exhausted and I didn't want to carry, my bot and my controller and my stuff like this, downstairs. So that guy Brian, he was absolutely amazing. Um, but we get ready for this fight. The nerves are really going because once you get to the semis, you're like, you can taste it. You can taste victory. You're like, I'm almost there for real now. And uh, I was kind of ill-equipped by the time the fight started. Uh, I mentioned that they kind of start to put the time constraint on you once you get to the semifinals. I only had time to put on like one of my forks that are actually like keep Squire off like on the ground and keep its weapon from hitting the floor, and it actually fell off during the match, and I had like one side wedgelet over here, so it looked kind of weird. But anyway, it was another kind of one like a big one hit kind of match. I was kind of dancing around, and then we collided like this, and they did a full 360, and that's when that front wedge on Squire fell off. So I couldn't get under him after that, and I was doing a little wheelies, right, because I wasn't staying on the ground, and I kind of tried my best to push him around. I was grinding in their armor because it was angled real well, and then Agent P just kind of it just kind of stopped, right. And at that point, I was like, "Oh, thank God!" Because if their weapon kept going, I didn't think I was going to win that match, you know. And I just waited for the countdown, did my little victory spin, and I went and shouted to the crowd. What did I say? I said something like, "Two times in the finals in a row, baby!" And I was beating on the cage and everything. I mean, there's no better feeling than that. I mean, that was just absolutely awesome. So did my little interview, went upstairs, let the nerves kind of subside, but then I had to get right back to work because you get even less time to prepare for the finals. And I think someone came up to me and they were like, "Hey, you almost ready? How you doing?" And I said, "Can I just have like 5 more hours?" And they wouldn't grant it to me, unfortunately. Um, if only. But anyway, we did get ready in time. There wasn't a whole lot of damage to repair or anything, so uh, everything was going well. Batteries charged, uh, but we were going up against Kablooey Tango again in the
Again.
finals. And Alex Kreese said to me, because I had a little talk with him before this match started. He was like, "We've got to stop meeting like this." And I was like, "Yeah, I agree. I don't like it." you know and this is a big match for us, not just because it was the finals and everything, and there was $1,000 on the line and a golden dumpster on the line, but because this is how we settle the score. Kablooey and Squire at this time were 1-1 against each other, right? So in my mind, I was like, this is a real big deal. These are two previous BattleBots competitor teams. They've got Jonathan Schultz on their team now. You got two big spinners in the box, and it's the last fight of the day, so everyone's watching, right? There's a lot going on, and for this fight, because the first match of this event against Kablooey Tango with the regular chassis did not go that well, I finally decided to switch to the wedge chassis, which we've nicknamed Squirt, Squire, Squirt. You just change one letter. So Squirt was fighting Kablooey Tango this time, um, and I mean, I was just as nervous as the first time. I wasn't certain that it was gonna go any better than the first time, just because we had the wedge, because we still had to deal with those forks, you know, and it was really just a let's see what happens kind of thing. So the match starts. I rush over to him, kind of kick the mini butt out of the way, and it's again, it's a lot of just some of this, just waiting for something to connect. Right? Is it gonna be them? Is it gonna be me? And we got stuck on the damn mini bot again. Like, damn it, just let me have like a regular bot fight. Get these mini bots out of here. I'm tired of getting stuck on stuff. So I'm stuck on that mini bot. They were lifted a little bit off the ground. My wheels aren't touching, and they get a nice big chunky hit on us, and it doesn't mess up the chassis like it did in our first fight, but after inspecting the damage, one of the gearboxes kind of it kind of came apart a little bit, and it wasn't getting any like I could freely spin the wheel after the match. It wasn't connecting. So yet again, just like the first match, I had one wheel drive again. So I had to work with that. They were still coming at me, chewing me up. I got flipped upside down, and I did these crazy acrobatics. A bunch of smoke came out of the robot. It was just belt smoke, luckily. But I found myself upside down a lot, or they were, really in my face, pushing me around. I was trying to get some movement going. Get kicked into the corner. It's looking like a mess for me, and then I get one nice big hit on them. They went maybe like 4 feet in the air. I was like, yes, this is finally turning around. But in reality, it wasn't. And kind of limped to the end. They kind of pinned me a couple times, and we did end up going to the judges' decision. And I don't know if it was unanimous or not. It probably was. I just can't say for sure. The only reason I would think that maybe it wouldn't be unanimous is because their mini bot was destroyed. However, even though NHRL kind of weighs mini bots as like half of the whole robot, even if it's just a little tiny like 3 pound robot or something. And I mean, you look at the fight, and it's like there's really no way that Squire could have won this. It just didn't make any sense. So it didn't go my way, but I think it was a good fair decision. Great finals match. I mean, it was an excellent match, even though we lost. It was just awesome. With the full 3 minutes, big hits. Two awesome, badass looking bots just ramming into each other, destruction everywhere. It was an awesome finals match. And hey, second place again. I mean, it's not bad, but I was like, I told a couple of people, I was like, man, if I keep getting second place like this, I'm gonna end up with a nickname that I don't like, you know, because I'm cursed now, I guess. But
Hey, I mean, second place at considering the level of competition at NHRL, I think that's pretty good.
yeah, who's Ricky Bobby's friend that always comes in second place? Cal Naughton Jr.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like that. Yeah, I'm like that guy, I guess now. And hey, I did get a little trophy this time. Unlike last time, I got this cool little laser cut Sparky's Circus trophy, which is how they themed it this time. They left the price tag on there, so I know how much to sell it for when I put it on eBay. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing that. I love that trophy. But overall, fantastic event. I'm really proud of how I did by myself for the most part. Of course, I had Brian and I had all my other guys there to support me, but without the team, it was kind of daunting at the beginning. But I found that I got on pretty well by myself. I've kind of got used to servicing the robot on my own and everything, but it still makes you nervous when you're there by yourself, basically. But everything went super, super well. I couldn't have asked for a better time. I always have so much fun at these events, and $400, nice, $400. Of course, it costs thousands to get there, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, sometimes it's not quite an equal trade-off. But you obviously did well in that event, and you're going to be there for finals. So what else are you working on or got going on in the meantime?
So biggest thing is, and don't tell anybody about this, even though this is a publicly posted podcast. I think we're probably going to have a mini bot for the finals. I see how effective they are with Kablooey, of course, and then with other bots and other weight classes that use them. And of course, you get a nice big weight bonus, which I haven't been taking advantage of. Squire usually weighs in at the lightest about 28 pounds even, and at the heaviest, it's pretty much right there at like 29.9. And with the bonus, you get an extra 3 pounds to your main bot, and then you can use 5 for your main bot, or you can just keep your main bot at 30. You can have an 8 pound mini bot or something. So I'm going to talk to the team, maybe talk with Logan and Brian about designing mini bot for Squire. probably going to be like a doorstop kind of thing. Not going to have a weapon or anything, but we want it to be pretty beefy. We want it to be real fast. We want it to be able to kind of have that, you know, that effect that Kablooey Tango's mini bot had on us. You know, it's got to be able to stop another bot in its tracks. It's got to make a real big difference, and it's got to be tough because it can't be killed. Otherwise, that means we might lose that match. So that's priority one as far as my other projects. Uh, Project number two, I've got a beetle that I've been working on. Barely fits on the screen. It's a super wide, all aluminum billet. I've decided to call it Tongue Twister. That's its name. It's a 7 3/8 wide egg beater made out of steel. I've got these little 1.9-inch RC tires on it. It's real squatty this way. So, you know, of course, that it can be this freaking wide. And I think if that bot does well, and it's going to take a long time of testing, you know, several months, I think if it does well, and if I make a couple of, you know, clones of it for my teammates, maybe give a couple away or sell a few to, you know, some close friends and stuff, might even start selling them as kits. You know, we got the capacity to produce it. You know, the machine shop I work at, Halsey Manufacturing, kind of self-sponsor, so we could make them there. We may start making our own tires for them, but I really have been for a while wanting to get into kind of, you know, instead of the competing scene, the manufacturing scene for combat robotics, and I think a kit might be a great way to get into doing that. You know, and in addition to maybe making custom wheels for people, that's something we're looking into as well. So that's another thing that's on the horizon. And third thing, a lot of people have been asking me about this. Are you going back to BattleBots? And the answer is still, I don't know. To be honest, I hate having to answer that way, like I always have been for the past, you know, since, you know, the end of season 6, basically. But the truth of the matter is, you know, it does cost a lot of money. I know that there are stipends now, and that certainly does help out. And you know, it's a lot of incentive to go back. And there is BattleBots Destructathon as well. You know, you can just go and play basically. But at the same time, I don't think that there are any stipends for that. And you know, that's not a full 2.5 week thing like BattleBots is. It's you know, mostly you might expect to spend, you know, a little more than a weekend there if you're a team like us that has to be far away from home, you know, in order to compete there. Um, so I mean, Destructathon does look like something we we could attend if it goes on for long enough and we have enough time to build up the funds and agree on a version 2 design, kind of make sure it works and everything, get all the kinks worked out, and make sure that we have spares prepared to compete for multiple days or do multiple fights a day. So it's a lot of preparing before I give a definite yes that we're going back or anything like that, whether it's Destructathon or season 8 or whatever else may come out of that. One more project. Um, if all goes well, it kind of depends on. I've kind of waited whether or not I want to do this based on how we do in the finals. If we get to the finals of NHRL, the finals of the finals, excuse me, the final match in the 30-pound category, you know, we win $5,000, and if we get first place, we take $15,000, right? That's a lot of money. If we get some of that money, I would like to build a 3-pound arena with hazards, 8x12 in the state of Texas, somewhere around Denton. Maybe if we have a place to store it, maybe even up at the Rev Robotics headquarters. I don't know. But I really want to get a proper, really cool Beetle arena out here in this area in Texas, because anytime the other Beetle events come around that are in the state, they're down in Houston. Sometimes they're up in Oklahoma. It's always a drive to get out there. And I want a place where, you know, I can compete and not even have to drive more than an hour away from home. And I also want, you know, like a playground where I can be like, hey, I want to fight my robot, or I want to just destroy something with it. Hey, I've got an arena. It's right over there. Let's do this, you know, because I haven't really got an opportunity to like for one, really test Squire, because making a box that contains 30-pound robots, that's really hard to find, right? So I've been able to drive it, and I've been able to spin the weapon up from a distance, but I can't do both at the same time. And I think that's really important, because stick time is the one thing that I really have not been able to do with Squire. I can make as many attachments as I want. I can make as many spare robots as I want, as many configurations. But if you don't have, the driving expertise, what's all that for, right? So I would like to have a place to, one, test my 30-pound robot, two, fight my beetle, test it out, make sure that it's good to sell as a kit and everything, and of course host a few events. And the first few may be like invite only things, little things, maybe 12 to 20 people come. We might try to keep it real small. We may even run just a couple demonstrations, dry runs, make sure that we can facilitate that many people charging their batteries at the same time, and have like if we send out like invitations to 20 people, are all of them going to come, and that kind of thing. But I think hosting an event is something that I would really like to do, rather than competing if given the chance. Not forever, but sometimes I kind of want to take a little break from competing, because traveling gets expensive, replacing all the robot parts gets expensive, and of course I know building an arena is expensive too. But it's I think trying to prepare for events over and over again is stressful, and of course I want to facilitate the community as well, not just do this for myself.
Yeah, that's a great goal. There's lots of, as we always say, there's lots of different ways to be involved with combat robotics, and it's not limited to competing or any one thing. So I think that's a great idea. I think the more accessible we can make this for people that don't otherwise have a place to go and fight or test their bot or whatever the case may be, the more of that can be out there, the better.
Yeah, I really want to start working on being as community involved as possible.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, awesome. Well, I hope that you do well and have a chance to win that prize money to bring
Yeah.
that type of thing down to Texas.
Yeah. I think even if we don't get the prize money, even if we don't get quite that far in the finals, we might try to get it going anyway. It'll take a little bit longer, without that $5,000 or $15,000 backing, but we'll find a way to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. I know for one, I am very excited to see what Squire does in the finals, as well as this 3-pounder that you're working on and all of these other projects. And I do hope at some point that we see you back at BattleBots, but I certainly understand the bigger challenges and difficulty with cost and things like that the 250-pound bots bring.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd also like to get DragonSlayer up to the NHRL museum sometime if I can. Depends on if they're buying or not. So far, haven't really got a concrete decision, but I think that would be a good I don't know, final resting place for it, because the original chassis is messed up. It's bad. We could probably still get it driving, but it's probably not going to fight again.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if you're going to have a final resting place for your robot, I think the Bot Museum in Norwalk is probably a pretty good
Perfect
option.
place. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, cool. But yeah, so for fans that are watching, and I even forgot, you have one of your biggest fans out there that requested the DragonSlayer interview to happen in the first place is going to be very excited to see you back on the show.
Yeah, I bet she is. Hi, Christy.
So, for everyone that's watching, obviously, make sure that you continue watching, support combat robotics, like, subscribe, all of those good things. And we'll see everybody next time on the show.